Today, I want to talk to you about email marketing, such a critical topic. And more specifically, I really want to hone in and talk about the hesitation that almost always shows up around this particular topic. Because if you're early in your business, I would think there's a pretty good chance that you have had some version of these thoughts. Those include, oh, I don't have enough people on my list. I don't even know what I would say. I don't want to be a bother to anyone. I should probably wait until I'm more established. Or I personally don't like email, so I just assume others are going to feel the same. And I want to just slow down for a moment to say this very clearly. Waiting is truly one of the biggest mistakes that I see practitioners make. And believe me, I know because I made this mistake myself early in my nutrition practice days. So, why is waiting such a mistake? Well, it's clearly not because you're doing something wrong or because you're behind, right? Really want to be clear about that. But because email marketing is not something that you earn later. Instead, it's something that supports you from the very beginning, literally from the get-go. It supports you while you're finding your voice, while you're clarifying that niche, while you're building your confidence, and while you're still figuring out what you want your business to ultimately look like. So, please remember that email marketing, it's not a finish line. Instead, I think it could be helpful to think of it as part of your business foundation. Hey there, welcome. I'm Leslie Vitel, and I am a business strategist and mentor for integrative and functional medicine and nutrition practitioners, as well as coaches. In my work, I help practitioners to build sustainable businesses with clear messaging, ethical marketing, and systems that grow with them instead of draining them. And if you would like to support this channel, I invite you to hit the hype, like, and subscribe buttons. Interestingly, email marketing is one of the most misunderstood tools in our space, especially for practitioners who really care deeply about integrity, who don't want to feel salesy, and for those who just don't want to feel like they're pressuring people, who genuinely care about consent, trust, and long term relationships. So, if that is you, you are definitely not alone. And today, I would like to show you how to use email marketing even when you're brand new to it, without the pressure, without perfection, and without feeling like you have to pretend to be something or someone you're just not. Because email marketing, when done well, doesn't feel like marketing at all. Instead, it feels like support. And one of the most important things to understand early on is that email is one of the only platforms that you truly own. Because social media, let's be honest, this is borrowed space. Algorithms change, reach fluctuates, accounts get restricted or sometimes taken down. These platforms all tend to rise and fall. But email gives you direct access to people who have literally raised their hand and said, yes, I want to hear from you. And that matters a lot. Now, that is not random visibility. That is what we call permission marketing. And you do not need a large list for email to be valuable. What you do need are the right people, people who resonate with how you think, people who feel seen by your perspective, and people who want to learn from you over time. So a small aligned list will always outperform a big disengaged one. And another myth that I want to clear up right now is the idea that you need clients first, because not true. You just don't. Email marketing is not a reward for having clients. Instead, it is a relationship building tool that helps you to get clients. People join your list because, they're curious. They want more clarity. Maybe they join because they're looking for guidance and maybe even reassurance. They're not joining because you have everything perfectly figured out. In fact, honestly, some of the strongest connections are built when people can see you kind of thinking things through in real time, when they feel like they're learning alongside of you. when they trust your process, not just your outcome. And perfection just doesn't build that sense of trust, but consistency definitely does. And this is where I see a lot of practitioners honestly get kind of stuck. They think every email has to be profound or deeply educational or perfectly written or worthy of being saved forever. And I do want you to know it's just not true. When you are just starting your emails, they can be very simple. They can focus on education, perspective, reassurance, and clarity. For example, you can share a common misconception that you maybe hear all the time, maybe a pattern that you see with clients or patients, maybe a question someone asked you recently, a mindset shift that helps people get unstuck. You're not trying to impress anyone, but you are trying to connect. And I do want to also say email is not about volume. So it's not about the length or like the number of words on the email. And it's not about sharing everything you know about a particular topic for sure. But it is about showing people how you think. And one of the simplest ways to email when you're new is to use a very gentle structure that I'm going to share right now. So you perhaps open with something relatable, a moment, a thought, maybe a question. Then you name the challenge. And then you offer one helpful insight. And then you close with an invitation or maybe a reflection. And honestly, that's it. No pressure, no performance, no pretending, no pushiness. It is about showing up for your audience consistently. And when it comes to how often you send emails, this is where I want to give you permission to take a deep breath. All right. Because consistency matters far more than frequency or cadence. So, for example, once a week is ideal, in my opinion. Once every 2 weeks is also completely fine. What matters is that you choose a rhythm that you can realistically maintain over time. Because trust is built through reliability, and people don't expect perfection, but they do expect honesty and presence. So, email is not just a marketing channel. I would really call it more of like a nurturing space because it allows people to get to know how you think, how you support, and how you see the world, who you are, the person behind the brand, and what it actually feels like to be in your orbit. For practitioners, especially, I would say trust is everything because people are not just buying information, they're choosing a guide, they're choosing support, they're choosing who they want to learn from and potentially work with. So, email gives you a place to build that relationship slowly and intentionally. Now, let's talk about selling because this is where a lot of discomfort oftentimes shows up. So, you do not need to sell aggressively. You don't need hype. You do not need, countdown timers or pressure filled kind of language. Instead, you simply need to make the door visible. And this could be as simple as saying, something like, hey, if you'd like support with this, here's how we can work together. I don't think that's at all pushy. Instead, it's clear. And clarity is a very good thing because you're not forcing anyone to walk through that door, right? You're just simply letting people know it exists. And one of the biggest mindset shifts that I want you to take away from this is that email is not about convincing anyone of anything. Instead, it's about serving the people who are already listening. If someone is on your list, let's be honest, they opted in, they raised their hand and said yes, and they want to hear from you. So your job is not to shrink and become small. Instead, think of your job really it's to show up with care. And another thing I want to emphasize is that your emails will evolve over time. What you write 6 months from now is going to be different from what you write today. And I think that's a good thing, don't you? Email grows with you. Your voice is going to get clearer. Your messaging is going to sharpen and your confidence will deepen. But none of that happens if you wait, because momentum comes from movement forward. And this is especially important for practitioners, who tend to maybe overthink and potentially even undershare. You don't need to have everything mapped out in advance. You just need to get started. All right, so let's take a moment and pull all of this together, shall we? Okay, so first, you do not need to wait to start email marketing. You do not need a big list. You do not need perfect words. You do not need more credentials or education to prove your worth. What you need is consistency, clarity, and care. If you can show up with those three things, email will become one of the most supportive, grounding, and effective tools inside of your business. If this conversation helped you to feel more confident about starting or recommitting to email marketing, I invite you to like this video and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future trainings in this particular marketing series. And if you want support building simple, ethical marketing systems that actually grow with you, you can explore working together on my website at lesliebytel.com. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.